You fire 6 shots or only 5? Well, to tell you the truth, in all this excitement, I've kind of lost track myself. But Ian, this is a 44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and would blow your head clean off. You've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you?
Shut the fuck up, okay? Shut the fuck up!
Well, you know what I mean? This is Raw Uncensored. I know y'all getting tired of seeing me today. The blue belt dropout is here. I got an official black belt here today. The blue belt dropout is here. The Fupa Protector is here. Raw Uncensored, and I got a special guest, Byron Brooks. How you doing today, sir?
Excellent, man. Excellent. Glad to be here.
I'm glad you came on, man.
I appreciate it.
But who is Byron Brooks, man?
He's a lot of things, man. He's a lot of things. Right now, he's a stand-up comedian in the Baltimore DMV area, black belt at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a former mixed martial artist, former musician.
Oh, damn. I'm a former.
Hoodlum, you know,
A lot of formers.
Yeah, a lot of formers, man. Yeah.
I'm also a former losing MMA fighter. You know what I mean? I had one fight, and it was enough for me. I see why a lot of people stay there just jiu-jitsu. Don't try.
It's hard. It's not an easy thing, man. It's not. You know, and people, they get tired of getting their ass kicked all the time sometimes,
You're definitely not lying about that, man.
Yeah.
It took the one time, and also at the time I was fighting at like 253.
Okay.
And I was like, yo, this is not the life for me. You know what I mean? It's not. And like I have all the respect for all the people that do that shit and is on that grind right now. And just Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in general, it's a lot. You know what I mean? I still got an achy body. Just for 3. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you what, man. I turned 44 next month, and I hurt all the time. Jiu-Jitsu is not for you. It's a healthy hurt. I'll say that. Like, I'm in good shape for a 44-year-old. But getting out of bed in the morning is a bitch, man.
And I tell a lot of people, man.
Yeah.
I was in the era where leg locks was becoming like the thing. And my fucking ankles and people neck cranking me, especially coming from that ground control. There's a lot of wrestlers, and they used to crank my fucking neck. Yeah. And I don't know. Sometimes it's just be hurting just to do like that. You know what I mean? But like, when did you start your comedy journey, man?
I started my comedy journey in 2018.
Wow.
Funny story, man. The first place I went was this place called I can't remember the open mic name. It's a very famous open mic here in Baltimore. It's no longer around because of the pandemic and COVID kind of shut it out. But I went, was the first one on the list. Didn't go up until like after 20 other comics. There was barely anybody up there. By that time, I was drunk off my ass, and ended up it was one of the worst bombs ever. And then I didn't go back into another open mic until about 4 months later until I had the courage to actually go up to another open mic. Mm-hmm. And that was at the Lou Costello room in Hamden, Baltimore, Hamden part of Baltimore.
So when you had your first experience, man, what was like? Give me the gist or just a small overview of the material you was doing. Was it from something that happened to you, or was it like some thrown up shit you came up with, or you just had already stuff written? You went to
are we talking my first like show, or just the first time I was ever on a mic?
Yeah, when the first time you was ever on a mic.
Oh, okay. First time I was ever on the mic. Believe it or not, I started out wanting to be a storyteller.
So you was on some Ali Siddiq type shit.
Yeah, it was some real stories of things that happened in my life, and I had already really honestly been writing for almost 2 months before I even got the nerve to go up to an open mic, because I just didn't want to go up there not prepared. But my whole thing was back then was just the funny stories I used to tell my boys, or, tell people who know me. I found out real quickly that's not really what I wanted to do in comedy after, repetition. I'm more of a joke teller, situational type guy now. I don't tell too many stories. If they are, they're very short. But I'm a setup punchline guy,
And it's was you already had some kind of grasp of what kind of stand up you wanted to do? Did you have like a canvas at least that I want to be this kind of comic?
At first, yes.
Okay.
At first, it was like, I looked up to Ian Edwards and Ian Edwards, Anthony Jeselnik a lot. And for a while, I wanted to be, a one-liner dark comic. And then, I wanted to be a one-liner not dark comic to kind of touch everything. And then what I found out is in my writing experience, I really just want to talk to people. So when I write jokes, I almost write them as one-liners, but then I expand on it. So I have a subject that I want to touch. I'll write a one-liner joke, but then I'll write around that joke to make it, make the bit almost, 2-3 minutes. I know. I've gone through different stages of what I want to be. Right now, as a comic, I just want to be me. I don't want to be like anybody else. I just want to, tell my jokes the way I would talk to my friends.
Because what I mean, it's a lot of just going into like black comedy situation, open mics. I feel like they want you to be hip hop comedy, right?
That was a struggle for me, man. That was a real struggle because I'm not that. I grew up in a suburban area in Fayetteville, North Carolina. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I did my dirt. I got in trouble, but I'm not from the hood. I don't roast people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was very hard when I was coming into comedy trying to find my identity, because sometimes I felt like, is my material black enough?
Damn.
For real.
That's crazy. Real. I think like that sometimes too.
Yeah, for reals. But then, I have to sit back and be like, well, I'm me. People are going to laugh at me for being me, not for being some other dude, If I up the black, that ain't me.
Up the black is crazy.
I gotta be myself and joke about the stuff that I find funny. That's first and foremost. If you don't find what you're saying funny, nobody else is gonna find it funny.
Exactly. I think you can't do vanilly.
And really, honestly, I'm 6 years in now. I'm just now learning that, probably 5 years in. There's been so many stages of what they call finding yourself, I think I'm just now, like within the last year, really finding what I want to say and how I want to say it on stage.
Like, and what got you to the place of getting the offers to do gigs, man? Like, how did you get yourself in the situation? Did you do a lot of competitions, or you just did a lot of open mics to get the experience and the exposure? What was the process to get to the paid gigs?
I don't know. For a lot of Baltimore comedians, my journey was a little different. I embraced the griminess of the comedy because that's what I thought it was. I thought it was like sleeping in, hotels and being broke and shit like that. So when I first was able to get a gig, I got it with it wasn't my first gig, but first continuous gig. I got it with a promoter called Daryl Klein, and he used to work shows down kind of in the Southern Maryland area, but his shows weren't like at first he had a small comedy club and he'd have people show up. Sometimes it'd be 50 people, sometimes it'd be 10 people. And then it morphed into backyard shows, and it morphed into shows at bars and places like that. And he never once paid me ever. But the man put me on stage every weekend when I was first starting and no one else would book me. So for a whole year, I was doing shows every week for a whole year, when some of the other comedians in Baltimore were kind of fighting each other, they were getting better shows and they were getting paid, granted. But I was getting stage time, like in front of an audience that wasn't a open mic, that wasn't comedians. I was getting mad stage time.
And for you, Byron, is it like, for me, I feel like I get the practice. It's like free rolling open mics, right? But I don't get the justification in knowing if my stuff is good unless I compete, unless I get like a contest or is a thing, because comedians are going to think different.
Now, the only thing I'll say this, because I've judged competitions. I won the Magoobies competition, the monthly competition about 2-3 years ago. I've also gone up and did pretty well at the Harrisburg competition, but I don't use the first competition I did with Magoobies, I was really put all my eggs in a basket. I wanted to be the new comedian of the year, blah, 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 blah. I went up, had a good set, but the most important thing that I did, looking back, was the people that I was competing against. I became good friends with a lot of them. And those people put me on their shows. You know what I mean? So you never know. If you do a competition, right now, if I'm doing a competition, it's not to win. It's to go out there in front of an audience, have a good set that I can record on a stage that's a bigger stage, like the Magooby stage or the Harrisburg Comedy Zone stage. Not looking to win, but I am looking to meet other comics. If you do good at the competition and you don't win, people still remember you.
And I had that situation. I don't know if you know about Good Karma. I don't know if you know about that.
Yeah, I know Good Karma. Yep.
I did that, and I had countless people that don't look like me come up to me and ask me, because I had a bit about sucking toes. and white ladies was coming up to me. I thought it was Tiger Woods at first. It was like, is my toes suckable? I said, nah, I got a wife. But I think you appreciate my joke writing, because people don't understand this takes a lot of work to come up with ideas and try to put the shit together. It's definitely
it is. It's
definitely hard.
And once you get really rolling, like I'm starting to do, comedy clubs regularly and things like that. It's almost become a full-time job, man. I have to make sure I'm regularly asking people to get, promoters. Can I get a spot, whether it's a guest spot or a feature spot or a hosting spot? I gotta constantly be writing. I gotta constantly be trying new things, because, not that the audience is tired of my shit, but I'm tired of my shit. You know what I mean? You get really good at telling a joke, but after you told it 100 times, it's
dead.
It's dead, man. It's dead. But one thing I think with comedians nowadays, and especially with getting spots, is and I fucking hate it. I hate it, man. Is social media thing. Like you gotta be on there daily.
And that's why I put a lot of throwaway shit up. I put a lot of throwaway shit up.
Just to throw anything up.
Just a little sampler. You know what I mean? Like I'm Tony Montana. I give a little sampler.
I try and do big skits every once in a while. I put up stuff for my comedy, but I'm trying to learn now that sometimes it doesn't have to be the perfect thing. I can do just a little reaction to something, take 10 minutes to put it up, but it's getting spots nowadays. Those promoters are looking at your social media, at least club promoters, unless you're really good friends with one of them. they're looking at your social media and, oh, you have 15K viewers, you know, you might be able to pull a couple people into the club. You know, I'll give you that host spot. I'll give you that feature spot. When you could be the best, could be the funniest dude in Baltimore, and you have no social media presence, and this promoter's going to be like, "Who? You're funny, man, but could you bring? You know, are you going to be able to bring people into this club?"
And I had a situation where a dude asked me, I've been traveling, right?
Yeah.
I've been going to DC. I haven't been to Baltimore yet.
Yeah.
But I you know me locally, I've been in Delaware because that's where I'm at right now. But so I just been driving around, trying to network and put my foot in the door, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like you said, I'm an alternative black comic, and
I call it nerd black.
So I got a lot of jokes where, like, I grew up in the projects, right? But I also got experience of living in the burbs with my dad.
Yeah.
So I got the happy medium, but I don't like talking about struggle comedy all the time, right? And I like to touch other places because I don't want to get stagnant. Nobody, it's not too many people gonna be like, oh man, nobody want to hear about syrup sandwiches all the fucking time. What else do you have to give to people? So,
exactly. Yeah. I think it's just important to touch everything in your life. You know what I mean? You know, I think you should touch some of that grimy stuff, but also touch on some of that suburban stuff, you know? I don't think you should stick to like rappers. Rappers have a persona that they have to stick to.
Yeah, and that's why I don't like comedy. That's why I like comedy. You don't gotta stick to a persona.
You don't gotta stick to nothing, man. People just want to hear anything you got to say. Like right now, I'm trying to write 5 minutes on just my wife going through menopause. Like she's in premenopause right now, so she's acting like menopausal and shit. So like there's a lot of good material there, and I'm trying to get, you know, at least a good 3 to 5 minutes just talking about living with a premenopausal woman. Now, that's 5 minutes that I'm concentrating on. Dude, I've been arrested. I've been, I've been addicted to drugs. There's so much stuff to talk about. I don't feel the need to talk about that shit though. You know, I'll talk about that when I feel like it. You know, I'm out here trying to make people laugh.
Yeah, and I think that's important, man. I even like I watched a little bit of your special at the port.
Yeah, thank you.
I like the joke where you ask your son, "Is he gay?" Right, and you did it in a way where it didn't offend nobody, right?
Yeah,
and because let's be honest with you, Maryland is very Me Too ish.
DC is worse.
Yeah, so so to have a joke like that and not offend nobody and you get laughs is crazy. You know what I mean?
Look, I have a lot of gay friends who are in comedy, like Michael Furr and Rose Vineshank and Kenny Rooster. They absolutely love that. All three of them come up to me and you're like, yo, I love that. That's a real joke. Like, you're coming from a place where you're making fun of someone being gay, but you're doing it respectfully. Almost. You know what I mean? Like that's, I'm not out here trying to offend people on purpose. You know what I mean? I'm out here trying to entertain everybody, you know, black, white, gay, straight, trans. You know, I want you to be able to come to one of my shows and be like, that dude was funny, you know?
And I appreciate that because, man, there's a certain level to do that. You know what I mean? Without, because we get lazy, man. If you're lazy with that joke, it could really end you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So how you put that shit together was amazing, man. And that's why my humor is a little bit dark. So I've been adding like a lot of self-deprecating shit to my shit so I can lower the blow. And but I don't like when I get because I had a situation where it's at the State Theater in Havertide Grace, right?
Okay, cool.
I had a DV joke. I had a domestic violence joke, right?
Okay.
And I think if I had changed it up a little bit, I was trying to put dominatrix sex, right? With domestic violence to try to make it funny.
Yeah.
So I was pretty much saying if you're really a woman beater, you can just find somebody who's really into dominatrix sex. So you can get it off. You can get your you know what I mean? Your love language, right?
Yeah.
Soon I said that, start booing. And I had a one bit where I had a situation where I was adding like the child support system versus how it was back in the day. I said my grandma had 13 kids. She had kids because she loved having kids. My grandma was expecting a check from it, you know what I mean? But now all these women think their pussies like mermaids. It's special, and they expect to have all this money just for laying a kid down. Boo! Where's the joke? Where's the joke? You don't respect women. You don't respect women. I'm married to a woman. First of all, I can see my ring. But I feel like it's a lot of people that just go to comedy, open mics, and comedy in general just to be mad.
They are. That's exactly what they're doing.
It's not what it's for.
That's exactly what they're doing. You can't pander to those people, man. You can't let those people get you down. Because what that sounds, that's what I was about to say, is what that sounds like to me is you had a bad audience. You know what I mean? None of that you said sounded offensive to me. It sounded like somebody in the audience wanted to be triggered. And that happens, man. That happens all the time. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't go away.
It doesn't. So it's crazy, man.
I can tell a joke 100 times, but I tell it in one place, somebody's not gonna like it. The joke, I don't know if you got through the one about my drunk girlfriend, and it ended up me being like, oops, I pushed her down the stairs when I set it up as she's tripped down the stairs, and it ends up with me. I actually pushed her. I use 99.9% get laughs on that, but if I'm in the DC area, I can no longer do that joke. They just don't like it. So it's one of those things where it's like, I just got to know my audience. I got to know my area before I go in there. When I go into shows now and I'm headlining, the comedians, before I ask them, hey, did you say this? Do you think this type of joke will fly? How did they respond when you said this joke? I'm doing my homework before I go up there, so I don't have to. Oh, they don't like domestic violence jokes, then I ain't gonna say nothing bad about women. You know, you know what I mean? But sometimes I will just to get crowd work. So sometimes I will push the audience, but that takes time and actually time doing crowd work. But sometimes I will push a button just so I can get some crowd work going. But it's knowing the crowd, man. You got to know your crowd. Ask questions to the other comedians. Hey, what didn't they like about your set? You know, my boy Justo. The last time I went up, he came in late for a headlining thing that I was promoting, and the first thing he said is he looked at the crowd. He comes over to me. He said, "Byron, you say nigga?" I was like, "Yeah, I said it twice." He was like, "They were cool with it." I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Okay, cool. I know what jokes I'm doing." You know what I mean? I mean, but something simple, just simple is that question could have made or break the the set, make or break your set. So yeah. It's experience, man. It's just repetition, just like going to them open mics and max in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, and I'm trying to just find my footing, man. It's like it's a business where you don't want to step on too many toes, man, and you want to stay sturdy, but you don't want to be too sturdy. You can't be niggerish.
No,
you know what I mean,
you can't get comfortable.
Scene.
You cannot get comfortable, man. I'm telling you, because some of the you'll go from me, like especially now, like in my stage, I'll go from doing a show in front of 200 people on a Friday, and then Saturday doing a show in a bar for 7 people.
Damn.
You know what I mean? It's like that, you know, but you got to treat both of them exactly the same. You can't get comfortable, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So, man, I also read in your bio that you experienced Kiltonia. How was that experience?
I've never been to Kiltonia.
Oh, I thought that's what you put in your bio.
I opened for a dude who was the Kiltony.
Okay.
Golden ticket there. Yeah.
Okay. So, how was that experience talking to him about the show? I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. That was awesome. His name is Todd Royce. If you guys are out there, Kiltony alumni, he's been on a bunch of times. He basically he was the first person ever to get the golden ticket from Tony. He's based out there in Las Vegas. I'm really cool with him now. We talk all the time on the internet. His experience now is stuff that he tells me, being he's more experienced than me. Same thing. You gotta put stuff on Instagram. You gotta put stuff on TikTok. I mean, and really honestly, YouTube is the best platform right now for things because YouTube pays the most and you're gonna get the most views off of YouTube. So
that TikTok shit is, I don't know.
TikTok's whack, man.
I feel like it's a waste of time, but
yeah.
But I feel what you said, man, because it's definitely, the social media game is definitely important. That's why I reach out to people like yourself, man, just to talk about comedy because
absolutely,
because it's important for me just being in the infant stage, the white belt stage of this art to ask the people who got a little more experience, hey, how you do this? How you do that? You know what I mean? I feel like it's important just to do the homework and see what other people's experiences were.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, man, it's a process to everything. You know, for me, I was working first couple years working hard and having a solid 10 minutes, you know, and then getting that extra 15 minutes. And then, you know, people were, you know, I got to the point where I had a solid 15 minutes and people were like, well, if you can do 20, I can get you feature spots, you know? So I had to work that extra 5 minutes. And it's really honest.
You muted. You muted. I can't hear you.
Don't take free.
Oh, you got muted at 1 minute. I could hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know, I'll go back through.
Yeah, you got muted.
My bad. Basically, you know, network, get behind the mic as much as possible. Ask. I think one of the biggest things comics have trouble doing is asking people for anything. You know, I go once a week. I've made it a point to just, who's out here doing shows, let me jump in their DMs. Hey, you know, my name's Byron Brooks. I've been doing comedy for 6 years. I'd really like to get on your show. I see you're doing some really cool things. If not, I understand, but, you know, please keep me in mind. You're going to get no's a lot. You're going to get people just don't even answer you. But you're going to get people who are going to be like, I'll give him a shot. Or they're going to be like, hey, it's Byron. I hadn't even crossed my mind to put him on my show. Yeah, come on. You know, you got to stay. One thing I like to say is you got to stay in people's minds. And if that's on the internet, I swear to God, I put up like 3 stories on my Instagram the other day. Just, you know, like I said, just to stay in people's minds. And one of the promoters, literally 5 minutes after posting, got in contact with me. He's like, Byron, you want to do 10 minutes tonight? And I was like, yeah. And I went back and looked at who was looking at my stories, and he was looking at my stories. He probably hadn't thought about me that day. But then he was like, oh, shit, Byron, he's probably not doing nothing. You got to stay in these people's minds. It's once you get going, you got to stay going. You can't take breaks. You got to stay consistent. You know, it's one of those things. Like as soon as somebody forgets, doesn't see you around, they'll stop asking you for spots or stop giving you spots.
So how did you land that situation at the Port, man? One of the hottest clubs in Baltimore. How did you get in that situation?
I have no clue.
That's all you hear about. The Port this, the Port this.
The Port's hot, man. The Port's hot. They have, the hottest up and coming comics that come through Baltimore, come through the Port. Magooby's levels, it's a smaller club, but he's getting Magooby's level talent there. I honestly don't know how I got in the Port. I was on 2 shows at the Port the very first week it opened. I don't know who gave Matt Hurley my name, but Matt, the owner, specifically, contacted me. He said, I'm opening a new club. I've seen and heard about your comedy, and I'd really like for you to come be a part of this. And I've been there ever since, man. Almost weekly. That's my workout room. That's my home club. I love the place. It's very hard to get into, so I ain't gonna sit here and front. Right?
Man, Brian, I'm telling you,
very hard.
They talk about this the Port like it's a cellar in New York. You know what I mean? They talk about it at that level. Yeah. And I know a couple guys that was on the showcase, and now they on that they on a light rotation like Dom Solarski and Bam Jacobs. I know they've done it a couple times, but the thing with the Port, man, is I believe Matt really wanted to run it like the Comedy Store, where you got to be passed and you got to impress him to be a consistent in that club. If he doesn't know who you are, you're probably not going to get in that club. And it's not that he has a lot of comics take it personally, but a lot of comics don't realize this dude's probably getting 200 comics writing him, emailing him, hey, can I get a spot? And not even that, that man's business. You know what I mean? That man's business, yeah. You know what I mean? So you can't get, if you can't, because I'll tell you what, man, there's clubs that I can't get into. I've featured at Good Nights in Raleigh, North Carolina, one of their biggest 250-seater club. Mm-hmm. And there are 100-seater clubs in the area that will not let me in their club. Why you think is that? Same thing. I can't be sour about that. There's 200 other comedians in that area asking for the same thing. Do you think did you send the clips to them, or? I send clips, I've talked to the promoters, and that's one of those things. Like I said, you got to get out there and ask people, but 9 times out of 10 you're going to get ghosted, or somebody's going to say, "Oh, we filled the spot," or "Oh, maybe next time," or something like that. You can't let that shit discourage you, man. I'm grateful. Okay, so I can't get into this club in DC, but you know what? I'm at the Port every week, so screw that club. You know what I mean? I wish them the best, but I can't be mad at them. Like I said, that promoter at that club probably gets 100 guys a week asking just like me to be in that club. I ain't nobody special. I ain't nobody special, man. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm glad you have an attitude for like that, man, because it's a lot of people let put them into a funk, man, and you have it. It's not meant to be. It's not for me. Look at what you have, not what you don't have. Yeah, that's real. And at 6 years in, I'm doing pretty damn good. You know what I mean? I'm sure. I got a pond full of catfish.
I've been on Magooby stage in front of 250 people. I've been, at the Port almost, that's my home club. I'm past there. I'm a regular. Just that alone is more than most comics in the area are able to do or are do. So I'm super grateful. If a club doesn't want me, it's probably because they already have 100 dudes already there. You know what I mean? But one thing I will say, if you really, 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 really want to get into a club, you gotta show your face. You gotta go to that club. You gotta talk to the staff there. You gotta get cool. I mean, even if it's just to watch a show, or even just to step up and say, "Hey, man, my name's Byron. I'm a local comedian. I really love your club. I just wanted to shake your hand and introduce myself." And then they'll stick in your head. Then they'll look at your social media, and then they'll be like, "Oh, he's actually doing things. He's booked almost every week."
Mm-hmm.
And then 6 months later, I'll go, "Hey, remember me? Is it possible I can get a guest spot at during this?" And they'll be like, "Well, why not? I've been watching you." You can't get discouraged when these clubs and these bookers don't book you, man.
And because
it's just not the right time yet.
Yeah, it's not the right time. And like you said, it's not about. It took me a long time. I felt like an angry rap at first, right, Byron? Because
I did too, man.
It's really not about being funny. Sometimes.
Thank you that you realize that.
It's not really about being funny.
A lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people.
It's about that relationship, like you said, and
it's about building a relationship.
Yeah, It's not about being funny, man. Because I seen it firsthand at competition. Like it's not about being funny. Sometimes it's about that bringer. How many people you brought in ticket wise?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not about. It's about that money.
If
it makes sense.
When it all comes down to it, it's about how many people they can put in them seats and they can serve alcohol to.
Yeah.
So if you aren't helping that process, you need to figure out how you can help that process.
Yeah. I might put a Robin suit on and start running around. I need that social media to go up.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So it's show business. That's what it is. It's a business, man. Being funny is 20% of it.
Mm-hmm.
It helps to be funny. When it comes down to it, you can put butts in seats, but if you ain't funny, they ain't coming back.
Yeah, they're not coming back. Yeah.
So you definitely got to be funny, but you got to put efforts into other places, promoting yourself. You got to market yourself. You are your own commodity. You're your own product.
Yeah, it definitely is, man. Man, so are you working on another special?
Yes, I'm in the midst of what I'm trying to do is do a 25-minute to 30-minute special every 6 months.
And I think that is a sweet spot, man. To be honest with you, I can't remember the last time I sat down for an hour.
I can't either, man. Even if it's good, really, honestly, even if it's good, I'll be like at a half hour in, I'll be like, I want to really enjoy this, but I can't keep my attention span. So like specials on Netflix, I watch. It takes me 2 days to watch a special now. Like I watch the first half one day, another half the other day. I think the whole hour-long special is going to die out soon.
Do you think they expect people? Do you think the live comedy, right? Do you think they still going to do hour?
Yes. Yeah.
Because I really don't.
I think within the clubs they're always going to keep that. The host gets 10, the feature gets 20 to 30, and then the headliner gets 40 plus usually. But most headliners do an hour.
I think I'm gonna be a 40-minute man. When I get to that level, I'm gonna treat it like sex. I'm gonna need two 20-minute rounds and call it a day. 25-minute round.
I think, but I also think when you're paying money and going to see comedy live, I expect an hour. I'm not gonna, I want my headliner to do an hour. And when I'm sitting at home watching a television, I don't want an hour. I want 30 minutes, 40 minutes at the most.
And I think 30 minutes is the spot. It's not too long. It's smooth, punch,
Mm-hmm.
and like,
Yep.
because I feel like within the hours, there's a lot of dead spots in the situation.
Dead spots, and I think that's a problem, because I think a lot of these headliners feel like, they got production companies behind them and Netflix and stuff telling them, you got to do an hour or this, and I think up and coming comics who are able and blessed to be able to do hour-long specials, they feel like they really have to fill that hour. And they really only got 50 minutes. So they got to figure out 10 minutes I got to fill this hour. So here's this 10 minutes of bullshit. That's 10
minutes of crowd work.
Yeah, 10 minutes of crowd work, 10 minutes of bullshit that they sprinkle in. When let's do a 40-minute special and have that shit just banger from beginning to end. I'd rather watch 30 minutes of just nonstop jokes and my stomach hurt afterwards than a good hour special. It was good. It's good. The first 20 minutes was great. And it was a lull, and then the last joke was good. But
so, Byron, if you had to go on tour and you had to have an opener, a feature, and your headlining, who would you pick at this current state?
All right, are we talking about famous people or people?
I'm just saying, you got the bag behind you. You can pick two other guys and yourself. Who's opening for you? Who is the feature? And your headline, of course.
I'm not naming anybody famous, because I feel like if I'm blessed and I got the bag, I need to bring some people up, or help the people that came up with me. So I would say I would have Rose Vineshank feature for me. I would have it's a good question. Maybe Bobby Ray host for me. Yeah.
Okay.
And Rose Vineshank could be interchangeable with Justo. Yeah.
Man, since you said that name, man, who would you like to see on my podcast, man, that's leading the scene in Baltimore? You can help me get on my podcast.
Man, a bunch of names, man. Daryl Charles, Justo, Umar Khan, Josh Caderna. I mean, there's Rose Vineshank.
To come on the small podcast.
How many female comics have you had on yet?
None. Nobody interested. Oh no, I had one. I had one more. She's gonna be coming out. She's a DC comic. I'm gonna post her stuff, but not too many. I'd like to have one.
Let's get these women in there, man. Rose Vineshank, D-Lo, Elizabeth Booker Houston, Jasmine Burton. The heavy hitters, man. There's some funny females in DMV. Y'all need to check out for real.
All right. Yeah, I appreciate you coming on, man, Byron.
You
know me, 1 blue belt, drop out, 2 black belt. I appreciate you coming on, man, and giving me your time, because I know everybody's busy in life. And hopefully one of these days, man, I could be on a show with you, man. That would be great. One of these days.
We just networked, so you're gonna be on my mind, man.
I'm gonna put that in the universe, you know what I mean?
All right, bro, put it in.
My brother got kids, you know.
Yeah.
5-minute spot for a chicken box. Fuck it.
There we go.
But again, man, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Thank you so much.
Go check out Byron Books on all his social medias, man. And we're out of here. Thank you, man.
Appreciate it.